Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Mitzi, and this is Mitzi. Let's think about it. Today we are thinking about spiritual tools. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is the topic of today. We are going to be thinking about it with Steve. Yes, a returning guest, and we are going to be really thinking about this so that we can continue on thinking, right? That's the whole point. So, thank you so much, Steve, for coming on my show. Let's just go ahead and dive in. When you hear the word spiritual tools, what does that make you think about?
It's a really interesting question, Mitzi, and thank you for having me back. I'm really looking forward to our conversation today. So, the interesting thing for me is, well, what does that mean? What does a spiritual tool mean? For a lot of people, it feels like, oh, I've got to go and sit in the lotus position under a tree and all those sorts of things, right? And I
Yeah.
don't have time to do that. I can't meditate, da, 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 all of those things, right? And I actually have a much simpler, I guess, version of that, in that to me, spiritual tools are very much grounded in the 3D world here because, and this is the way I explain it. I think a lot of people, and well, I'll just speak for me, I want peace in my life.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are the same. We want peace in our finances, peace in our families, peace in our workplaces, peace in our relationships. So a lot of that starts, we've all heard that saying, be the change you want to see in the world, right? Well, how do you do that here? And there are a whole lot of spiritual tools I think that we can use to do that. Because here is the thing, I think we neglect the power of our minds. And what I mean by that is that we are ruled by emotion, but where does the emotion come from? The emotion comes from a thought. And I'll give you an example, right? Someone puts um, a piece of cake and a coffee in front of you. If you haven't eaten for 2 days, your mind will go, oh man, I really want that. I'm so hungry. I can't wait that is the best thing I've ever seen in this world, right? Yet
Yeah.
if you've just had a three-course meal and someone puts cake and coffee, so your emotion at the start is, oh, it's wanting, it's urgent, I've got to have it. Really positive, like here it is, this is solving my problems.
Hmm.
Whereas if you've just had a three-course meal and someone puts a big bit of cake and a coffee in front of you, you go, oh God, I couldn't eat that. That's just too much. That's no, oh, that's awful. I don't want that. And so, same thing. The only thing that has changed is the perception or the thinking of the person. And the thinking created that emotion. And so, what techniques are there out there that helps us manage, change our thoughts, which create our emotions? Because then once we have emotion, we that often then influences our actions, and going back to the bit of cake and a coffee example, my emotion is I'm so hungry. So the action is, well, I devour it, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm totally full, it's like, oh gosh, get that away from me. That the emotion creates an action. And so
Yeah.
I'm really interested in this topic of what spiritual tools are there out there that can help us with our thinking to help us change results and bring more peace, for example, in our life. So that's what I mean by spiritual tools.
Oh, that is very interesting. That is an interesting way to think about it because honestly, I didn't think about it that way. When I thought of spiritual tools, I thought of things that were just naturally gifts, you know what I mean? Things that you just
Mm,
naturally able to do. And, just like, let's say you are just a natural light and you just encourage people or, and things like that. Those are spiritual tool for you to just go out into the world and continue to encourage, something minor and like that. But you brought it in such a deeper sense. And I love that because you tell people to just, okay, get off of the surface. You know what I mean? Let's get off of the surface level of what society has us distracted by our responsibilities, by all this noise that we're surrounded by, and then our emotions, because once we are done with the noise, we go into our emotions, and that's when we're like, oh, I don't feel like doing this because I oh, my emotions are not right, or my, you know what I mean, things like that,
mm.
and they stop themselves from going forward because they're on their emotional plane. So when you were speaking, I was like, oh, okay, so we have to just go deeper because we have to think about it and we have to really acknowledge what is going on and where's your true what is the true essence of this of what is happening in front of you. And I love that because when we start thinking in that level of deeper essence and what's happening in front of you, you can see that you can use everything to your advantage because that person was full, going back to your cake analogy, that person was full, that they ate a lot. So to see that cake, it's like, oh, I don't want it. However, it's a gift for the person who didn't eat for 2 days. You know what I mean? That
Mm.
person can enjoy that, and they can feel that nutrient that they need. So it's just like it's a beautiful thing if I'm thinking it in the right lines of what you are explaining it. Am I close? Am I there? Because
Yeah,
that's how I
absolutely.
see it. Okay, cool.
Absolutely. And to pick up on your point of the spiritual tools, that it's a gift to bring to people, that absolutely is a spiritual tool. I think the challenge with that, if that's all we see spiritual tools as, is that, oh, I'm not like that, therefore I can't do
Yeah,
anything about that, right?
that's
That's
true.
putting someone else on a pedestal, and I'm down here, and that keeps me down here, and they're up there because they do breath work or they're a healer or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm not like that, right? And that I don't think that serves anyone. I'll give
yeah.
you an example of one of my favorite spiritual tools, if you like. One of the things that us humans struggle with is other human beings, right?
Yeah, let's be honest, that's the truth.
And one of the reasons that we struggle with other human beings is we often get caught in the drama triangle.
Yeah,
And if you think of a triangle, the there are three parts of any drama or conflict. We can call drama conflict, right? There are three roles to play. There is the persecutor, where I'm going, oh, see, that shirt's horrible. How can you wear that on? And then someone else will come in as the rescuer. How dare you say that about Mitzi? She looks beautiful today. And then you as the victim is, oh, don't say that. I feel terrible. You make me feel horrible. So in any sort of relationship, there are those three dynamics. And it's really interesting to be able to step out of a conflict and go, well, whereabouts in that dynamic? Am I the persecutor? Because we all play all of those roles. Am I the poor victim? You've hurt me, or am
yeah.
I the rescuer? All three of those are really disempowering. And,
Mm,
we can run around that triangle our whole lives and go from drama to drama to drama. But I'm saying there is a spiritual tool called the drama triangle. And part of that is when there is a conflict to, like you said at the very start, go within. Whereabouts am I in that drama triangle? Am I the persecutor? Am I the one pointing the finger? Or am I the
yeah.
poor victim? How dare you say that to me? It hurts so much. You can't say that. Or am I the rescuer coming along nobly to help someone? Yes, with your
Mhm.
chin up, and
Mhm.
all of those have an energy, right? And an emotion behind them, and all of them create a an action, from that emotion. And so I think one of the greatest spiritual tools anyone can have is a three-step change process: is awareness of something,
Mhm.
go manual, because often we're on autopilot. You see something and you react straight away and jump in,
Yeah,
right? And then to take action differently. So I'd encourage everyone listening, I call it a spiritual tool, but maybe it's just a life management tool or a peace tool, even, in that, in the conflict, in the drama,
yeah,
whereabouts are you, right?
I
We all want
yeah,
to we all want to do something. We all want to blame someone else, right? But
yeah,
where are you in all of that? And the moment you can step out of that, then you've got a chance to find peace. And you see the
absolutely.
dramas on social media all the time, people jumping in, polling. Oh my goodness, what a waste of energy.
It
Arguing with
is.
people online you don't even know and that will never meet, right?
Oh, I know, but your blood is just boiling. You're gonna give yourself a heart attack alone in your apartment or alone in your home, and no one's gonna know just because you're stuck in this drama triangle. Oh, and I love that you put it in that perspective because it's true. If you really think about it, we are always in that one of the three. You know what I mean? And if you deny it, I'm pretty sure if you take a second to think about it, you can think about it and find yourself in one of the three. You know what I mean? And I love that because it's like when you are able to really step out, then you are able to see it from above and find it in a 360 perspective. And man, when you are able to see a situation in a 360 perspective, you get away with the shame, you get away with the embarrassment, you get away with the pride as if you have to defend or you have to be someone's savior. You know what I mean? All of that's
Mm,
gone. You know what I mean? Because you're just seeing it for what it is. It's like seeing a television screen. It's just a television. Nothing is special about the television until you decide it's going to be special and you make it become special by turning it on. You know what I mean? You are turning on
mm,
the drama, you are getting yourself in the triangle mix. So it's really great because as soon as you acknowledge that triangle, and as soon as you be like, oh no, I'm in the triangle. Oh no, this is my part. Then that you could take that second and be like, you
yeah.
know what? I'm not going to stand for this. So it goes back to what you were talking about, your other tools, your spiritual tools. And oh, speaking about that, and I love how in the beginning you said how when we think of spiritual tools in that essence of just being a good person and just helping other people, you really do put other people on a pedestal, and you're
Mm,
absolutely right because I didn't acknowledge that and I didn't put those two to two together until you worded it the way that you did. Because, man, we do get stuck. And I hope the people who are listening are trying to realize, like, yeah, you have greater tools within yourself that you can utilize. That's not just that something common, you know what I mean? That people are constantly being appraised for or being like, oh, look at them. Oh, oh, wow, the greatness of they are because they know how to do this, this, and this, or they help with this, this, and this. And like, you are great for what you are. You know what I mean? Even if you just buy someone's coffee, or even if you just smile at somebody, or you know what I mean? Even if you just wake up in the morning, give yourself a shower, and just say, you are beautiful. I love you. You are whole. And you tell yourself that, that is something, a tool that people don't realize that they have. So when you were like, oh, maybe it's not a spiritual tool, maybe it's a mindset check or a mindset tool, and like it's kind of like both because you have to get deeper, you know what I mean? In your mind you get deeper and you connect with that spirit within you, you know what I mean? So it's like it's all intertwined together. So it's like when we become deeper within ourselves and ever able to realize like there's something more in general for what's happening in front of me or what's going on around me, then we are able to really take our peace back, you know what I mean, and get that
mm,
joy back, because I've been working on and learning that happiness and joy are two different things. And when
mm,
you have joy, destruction could be happening in your life, but you can still hold on to your joy. You know
mm.
what I mean? So that is something that's truly beautiful. So I have to ask you, what makes it difficult that you've seen other people to try to tap into this knowledge?
I think there's an acronym called ANTS, ANTS,
Okay.
and yeah, that stands for auto negative thinking or auto
Oh,
negative thoughts. And what that means is all of us have that loop going around in our minds, right? And
mhm.
that says that, I'm not good enough. Oh, I can't do this. I can't do a podcast as good as Mitzi's. I'm not as articulate as that Aussie guy, Steve. Like we all have that stuff, or, oh, the traffic's really
Yeah.
bad today, or I need a raise, I need more money. The interesting thing about ants, auto negative thinking, auto negative thoughts, is that they generally are the same. The ones you're having right now today are generally the same as the ones you had yesterday, which are the same as the ones you had last week, which are the same as the ones you had last month, last year. And until you can recognize that you have this negative loop going on, and it's not always there, it's not always loud, but it's often just there in the background, right? And until you can acknowledge that those ants, those auto negative thoughts, keep you stuck or keep you down emotionally, and we could even say spiritually,
Yeah.
it's pretty hard to change those patterns. And I would say it's just a thought. A lot of that stuff is just a thought, right? Like, I could never do a podcast as good as Mitzi. Mitzi is so good. Well, why couldn't I? That's
Yeah.
just a thought I'm having. You know,
Exactly.
um, I'm not ready to do that. Well, no one ever is, right? No one's ever ready to walk. So we get up and fall over, and then we get up and fall over, and then we get up and fall over,
Yeah.
right? So I'm not good enough. I'm not ready to do this. I can't do whatever it might be. The challenge is
Yeah.
auto negative thinking. I mean, most people, most human beings, at least in my experience, and I'm like this as well, and I have to manage my thoughts, have ants going on all the time. I got ants running around up in my head there, right? And until I'm aware of it, until I go manual, I can't change it. And so a spiritual tool is that awareness of the thinking going on in our heads.
Absolutely. I think that's beautiful. Yes, I love that acronym. It's very clever because I've heard it as just intrusive thinking, you know what I mean? Just
Mm,
those intrusive thoughts just like just eating into your head. But when you say it like that, it makes it sound very realistic because it's like a record playing in the background very silently. But
mm,
when we focus on it and we auto tune to that to what it's saying, then it gets louder and louder, and then it gets on repeat, and then it goes consistent and consistent, and round it goes, round the record it goes. And it's like, are we focusing on that? So back to when you said it makes you focus on what you're thinking. You have to consciously think about what you're thinking. And sometimes people look at me crazy because my husband, he just looks at me because he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm thinking." Like, you know what I mean? Like, hold on, I'm thinking, I'm processing something. I'm just talking to myself. Give me a moment. You know what I mean? I'm putting the pieces to the puzzle, and it's all making sense. And he's like, "Mitzi, I have no idea what's going on." I'm like, "You're not supposed to. You're not in my mind." You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Excuse your way out. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, this is a me and me situation. And I think if more people owned up to that, they'll have that awareness of what's really going on inside of them. Because when you
Mm,
have that awareness, you know why you're sad. You know why it's not, you can't blame it on someone else anymore. You have that acknowledgement, and then you have a way to solve it. You know what I mean? Then you become a problem solver instead of a victim, and then you don't go into that
yeah,
drama triangle anymore because now you are ready to resolve that issue because you know it doesn't feel good, and it shouldn't sit there. You know what I mean? Or it helps you
yeah,
explore more reasons of why this is happening. If this is a sign, a pattern, you know what I mean? It allows you to discover more of within because we all are going through it differently, but we all had enough trauma that we are relatable. You know what I mean? Because
mm,
everyone has
mm,
has trauma and they're experiencing it. So when we are able to be in that relatable sense and have that empathy, we are able to tap into those tools of compassion. You know what I mean? Those tools of just being there because being present in someone's life can change so much than what words can even be said or what a text message can be said. You know what I mean? Sometimes they don't need gifts, they just need time. They just need your body. You know what I mean? But maybe I'm going off a rant. Anyways, um, I have a quote here that I would love your opinion on. It's about our topic. And the quote goes, being on a spiritual path doesn't prevent you from facing times of darkness. It teaches you how to use the darkness as a tool to grow. What does that quote make you think about?
Okay, that quote makes me think about the reality of this world. And the reality of this world is that we have night and day, we have darkness and we have light. We have what we would call positive experiences and negative experiences.
Mhm.
We can't have one without the other. I think we set ourselves up, humanity sets
Yeah.
itself up for a great amount of frustration, angst, um, bitterness, hardening of hearts when we only search for what is easy or nice. Um,
Mhm.
and the reason I say that is look at nature, look at the world. There is summer and there is winter, right? There is
Yeah.
night and there is day. There is calm and there is chaos. We've just come through a Category 2 cyclone here, and that's a hurricane, as Americans would call, and it was destructive to a point. There were floods. There were, people lost. There was chaos, right?
Yes.
And that's a natural phenomenon. That's the world that we live in. So we if humanity tries to control things, if human beings try to control things that are just part of life and nature, e.g., night and day, chaos and calm,
Hmm.
and not accept and flow with those changes, flow with those energies, man, life's hard. I can't control the cyclone. Oh my God, look at all the destruction. Well, yeah, it's not pleasant, but am I going to be completely and utterly devastated by it? I mean, people, some people may lose their lives, which is tragic, but at the end of the day as well, it is just stuff. Okay, my
Yeah.
house might be damaged. I might be flooded.
Yeah.
It's part of life, right?
It is. It is. I mean, I've been learning more about the universe, and it is really interesting how you were talking about how, we kind of need it, it's the give and take, and because our Earth is so special and so unique because we rotate, we have a magnetic field, we
Mm,
have these seasons, we have this night and day. There are other planets that has a sun, but they don't rotate because the sun's gravity is so strong and they're so close that they're stuck in one tilt and they just stay right there. You know what I mean? They're not, so one side of the planet's ice cold and the other side of the planet's completely dry and desert, while the middle has oceans and has waters and has all them and everything. So it just shows like there's has to be balance. And that planet was able to find balance in the middle. And we need to find balance in our middle. You know what I mean? We need to
mm,
find balance in our lives and our days. And it's like you said, like I have my life, you know what I mean? Like everything else is materialistic. I can replace everything. I can replace paper, I can replace books, I can replace everything else, but I can't replace my life. I can't replace my well-being, and I think that is a just something that if people can just recognize that how important you are as a whole, as an individual, and as soon as you start taking that seriously, that love within yourself will start like spewing out like a volcano and just everyone
mm.
gets affected. So I think that is most definitely a beautiful note to take into. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's not unpleasant, right?
Yeah.
It's not, disruption is not pleasant, right? But it is also part of life. And trees get knocked over, trees get damaged. Yet we try and control situations. And I often reflect and the ant's thinking does this to me. But why do I have at times, why do I have so much trouble changing?
Mhm.
Why is change so hard? And the reason is because I try and control the outcome. I don't necessarily flow with the rhythms of life. I don't recognize there are dark times,
Yeah.
and this too shall pass is a really good little spiritual tool to remember, right? When you're in the midst of a cyclone or when whatever the cyclone is symbolic for in your life,
Yeah.
to be able to not get dragged down into the drama of that and understand that this too shall pass because there is a new day coming or a
Yeah.
new season coming and everything has a
Exactly.
season, that can bring peace as well. Hard
Yeah,
to do that when you're in that
absolutely.
drama though, right? When it's hard and things are chaotic. I'm not saying it's easy, but it also is an opportunity to step out of that. Like you said, step out of that drama triangle and understand this too shall pass. I will be
Absolutely.
okay. I will go on.
I see it like a belt, like the drama triangles on a belt, and it just goes in circle around your life. Like if you don't step out, you're just going to continue to repeat it. But
100%.
when you're able to step out of that giant trauma triangle, you're able to recognize that that belt is only be going to come back around again. That drama is going to come back in a different form in another way.
Hmm.
But if you're able to step out and look, you're able to see something greater, and that is that I can persevere. And that's what the goal is, right? Is perseverance. We're supposed to persevere. We're supposed to continue to evolve and adapt and mold and not control everything because we can drive ourselves crazy with the thought of the sense of control. But in reality, as soon as
Mm,
you let go and you realize that you have no control besides what you say and what you think, then at least you can control what you say out of your mouth and how what comes in and out of your mind and how you can think and process life, because then you can see things differently, you can evolve differently, and you can help people differently in a way that you never thought before. And just working on yourself is just a tool so that other people can realize it's possible, because we get so stuck in the far future that when we
mm,
can't change is because you don't realize that you only have today. So if you only had a day, just today, what would you do in that day? Sit in the couch and watch TV and binge watch movies all day? No. You're going to be like, you know what? I'm going to go take a walk. You know what? I'm going to go call somebody, or I'm going to finally buy that shoes. Even if I know I'm never going to really wear them, at least that will get out of my mind, and I'll have the satisfaction that I own it. You know what I mean? Even if it's the
mm.
smallest, pettiest things, like it just means that you have today. You can work on yourself. You can work out. You can breathe. You can take a moment. You can quit your job if you know that's been bothering you. You know what I mean? Stand up for you because you have today. And that is what requires change is today. Do you know you have today to change? If you only knew you had today to change, would you change your today? Would you change your actions? Think people don't really think about it that day because they always think about, oh, I just want to be comfortable. Oh, I just want to relax. Oh, I mean, relaxing will come when you know how to manage your day. You know what I mean? And when you manage your day correctly and you are able to coordinate yourself correctly, you can still find time to relax. You can still find time to be at peace or watch a movie. But your main day objective should not be, oh, I just want to chill. I just want to relax. You know what I mean? Like that's not productive because you're never going to change. You're always going to be in that routine. And then you're going to go on that triangle drama belt and you're just going to be running around the belt and not stepping out and really seeing life for the beauty of what it is, because it's beautiful and ugly and amazing and disgusting and evil and blessings. It's like everything in between. But if you allow yourself
Mm.
to experience life, man, life can be so gorgeous. Oh, I'm so sad that time is catching up to us. So I have to say, what can be some lasting words of wisdom that you can leave us off with to keep on thinking?
Okay, there's two things. One, I think it's really important to get out in nature,
Yeah.
and connect with the earth and ground, and whatever that means for you. Going and sitting on the grass in a park, going for a walk on the beach, going out in the woods. Being with nature, even for a few minutes a day, or half an hour, 3 times a week. I think that's a really important one. That seems to do something to our thinking and the we reconnect with the world. I know when we live in cities, it can be hard to do, right? There's concrete and asphalt and et cetera, et cetera. But find some grass, breathe some fresh air, touch a leaf. It's some kind of connection. And the other thing I think is really important, and I think breath is a gateway to the soul. I'll put it that way. So breathing. Often when we're stressed, we breathe really shallow. When was the last time you took a really, nice, full, deep breath? The other little breathing technique I like is the box breathing, and it's one of the techniques the Navy SEALs use to calm in difficult situations. And what a box breathing is, it's breathe in for 4, hold for 4, release for 4, hold for 4, and just do that 4 times. If you're stressed and you do that, 1, 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4, release 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4. If you're doing that as a rhythm and do that 3 or 4 times, that will change your physiology, because the breath is so important. Go from shallow to really deep, calms the nervous system as well. So my thing, a spiritual tool, nature for me is a spiritual tool, and the breath is a spiritual tool as well.
Absolutely. I think if it can recenter you
Mm,
to reconnect within yourself, then it's a tool.
100%.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Utilize that. If it's meditation beads, if it's a Bible, or if it's a certain book, or if it's, you know what I mean, just recognize that tool that gives you that peace. And I think that is something that we can all go off of thinking about, like, what and if it's healthy for you. You know what I mean? Don't confuse tools as addictions and bad habits. You know what I
Mm,
mean?
mm,
Let's
mm,
you know what I mean? Let's recognize that as what it is. So we have to remember, like, if it's good for your well-being, you're not hurting anyone, and you're not convincing yourself that you're not hurting anyone. That's one thing that I realized, that you have those intrusive thoughts, you have those automatic negative thoughts just going on. But if you allow yourself to excuse those thoughts in, then that's also a sign. It should be a red sign that it's not good.
mm,
Because if you have to excuse it, then it's not good. Because if it's good, then there's no excuse that you have to not do it or to do it. Does that make sense? Like, you have
mm,
to
mm,
you have to recognize that red flag, because we can convince ourselves out of a good situation or a good thing for us, because those excuses that we do and that we tell ourselves. So it's just like, it really all adds up together, and it all comes down to, come on, coming back to yourself, having that
yeah.
awareness, having that moment within yourself to really connect and recognize, oh, what's happening with you, Mitzi? Oh, what's happening with me, Steve? You know what I mean? These are the things that we
Mm.
have to ask ourselves, these really hard questions. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, well, one
This,
one quick point, Mitzi, if I may. A lot of
yeah.
people struggle with meditation is beautiful and necessary and a wonderful tool. A lot of people struggle with it. We can't sit in the lotus position and om. and all those sorts of things. I'm not a great meditator, I've got to say, but going out into the garden and touching a leaf for a few minutes and looking up at the birds and the sky, that's a form of meditation as well. Don't think it has to
Absolutely.
be a certain way. Connecting to the universe, to the world, breathing deeply, they're forms of meditation as well. So be very careful of XYZ guru says I have to do this, this, and this to be spiritual or to, to do what, but you follow your instinct with that. If traditional meditation doesn't work, that's okay. Find one that does. Touch a
Yeah.
leaf, rub your hands on the
Exactly.
grass.
Right. Put some sand in your hands or
Yeah,
something. I absolutely
yeah.
agree because my son, he's like that when he's wild up. Sometimes all I have to do is just have him touch nature, a leaf, you know what I
Mm,
mean, or a tree or a bush or even something soft because I can't get him into something like into nature because we're in a building or something, you know what I mean? I have something soft for
mm,
him to touch because that touch, you know what I mean, can be a tool to recenter yourself, to ground yourself, you know? So if you need that tool, that is something that you should recognize and tap into and explore, you know what I mean?
mm.
Like separate the boundaries that people put categories in, you know what I mean? If breath work is that 4 block thing, then try it, and if it works for you, great, utilize that.
Yes.
Do what feels right with you. You're not gonna wear
Mm.
skinny jeans if you know they're uncomfortable, you're gonna wear regular jeans, right? So wear regular jeans.
I can't stand skinny jeans. I never wear them, right? They're so
Ex
uncomfortable. That's a
exactly.
beautiful analogy because I can't stand them, right?
Exactly. I don't want to see you in skinny jeans, Steve.
Uh,
Oh goodness. Alrighty. So see, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys want to know more about Steve, because how could you not? I have access to his website on my website. If you're already there, just bloop, click under his lovely photo, and you'll find so many great content, so many great blogs, so much great information for you to keep on thinking and get yourself centered and regrounded again. Because how could you not, right? How could you not? So with that being said, always, always, always keep thinking, y'all. Bye.